So this is the new C16 projector from DBPOWER, and I think this could be the new budget king of projectors. I'm going to get into that here today, tell you my favorite features about this projector, and even why this compares to some more expensive options. Now, I've worked with DBPOWER on other videos, and they've sent over some of their other products in the past. They did sponsor this video so that I can make this video for you and give you my thoughts. So I've been using this the past couple of weeks now. I've used it for gaming purposes. I've hooked up my Nintendo Switch to it, played some old school Final Fantasy VII on there. We watched a movie the other night. My wife and I watched Pirates of the Caribbean. We've had some other things hooked up to it, did some other streaming services as well. So I'm pretty impressed with this. Honestly, this is one of the better projectors I've tested lately, and this one is probably about half the cost of some of those. This is also native 1080p, so that's huge because for text and things like that, it's really super sharp. Let me show you some of the footage I've got here and some of the text within some of these interfaces, and you'll be able to see that as well. Here's what Netflix looks like to get an idea of this interface. You can see here, yeah, very nice picture quality. That 1080p definitely shows through. You can see it in the text all over the screen as well, in that upper left and the thumbnails. Everything looks really good. The brightness on this is really nice. Compared to a lot of other budget projectors I've tested out, this is right up there with them, honestly. It looks pretty nice. So guys, here is X, formerly Twitter. So you can see some pictures on here and see some kind of web browsing. I'll zoom in here to give you the close-up, but again, from like 7 to 9 feet away here, this text is super sharp. I can read everything, even the smallest stuff and kind of the post number and what's trending over here. So yeah, again, super happy with this. You could definitely use this for doing some online shopping, social media browsing, some productivity like we mentioned. You could use it for like PowerPoint as well and stick a USB stick in there. So honestly, this has really good picture quality, just about as good as some other options like I mentioned that are maybe double the price of this one. Some of the other ones that are a little bit more expensive than this are maybe like 800 ANSI lumens, 900 ANSI lumens. So this isn't too far off of those models, and this does look really good in the dark. It's still gonna lose, some of the color and saturation and everything and be washed out of it with lights on, but if you really wanted to, you could use this a little bit with some lights in the room. As always, you're gonna get your best picture in low light environments, with room darkening blinds, or using this in a blacked out basement. Here's a quick little test though with the lights on and the lights off. And so just to give you an idea, this is with a really well lit room right now and the lights on. Ideally, you're still going to want to use this more in dark locations and in a basement where you can close lights and blinds and things like that. This would be great for outdoor movie nights. So here's with the lights on, and that is with the lights off. So you can see definitely a big difference there. But honestly, you can still see everything here. I'm still able to navigate this. I can read things easily still. But you're going to get the best experience, in the darkest environment possible. So going through here, you can see, very nice detail. It's full native 1080p. So even the text up there in the corners, the text on the thumbnails and everything. I'm probably about 7 feet away from the screen here. And everything looks really nice. It looks pretty darn sharp right now. You can see a little bit in kind of the upper right corner as the video previews kind of play here. You can see, very sharp, very good picture quality. Here's a close-up of the thumbnails so you can see the detail. So as I said, very sharp thumbnails, no issue whatsoever seeing any of this text from, 8, 9 feet away where I am, where I think, probably most people would be viewing this from. Even further away, this is going to look pretty nice. The nice thing is a projector too is going to be a little bit easier on your eyes. You're going to have less eye strain than if you're looking at a TV screen kind of in the same time. Now, one of the things that is really great about this projector is that it's super simple to set up. You can see here there is no focus wheel, there's no keystone wheel. So gone are those things of the past. With this one, you just have electronic keystone and focusing as well. There's also some focusing buttons on the remote, but I found that this was really simple to actually set this up and just point it at the wall, kind of get it centered and everything. And when you turn it on, every time it goes through a little calibration and you'll see it kind of hunt for the focus and it will focus in, and it does that very reliably. Let me show you this clip right here also so you get an idea of how that works and how that auto keystone works as well. So I'm going to show you here, this is on my 100-inch screen. If I move this around just to give you an idea of how it recalibrates, see it's going to refocus here on the ceiling, and it should also do the auto keystone correction as well. You see, just like that, we're able to get this from the one wall to the other. So yeah, it's pretty cool being able to just set this up super easily It definitely helps with the startup time, just being able to get this up and going and running, especially if you're a beginner. You don't need to really be intimidated by this at all. So as you see there, setup is super simple. I'm a big fan of that, having these electronic options. From my experience, I've also noticed that there's less blurring around the edges and corners and things like that too. With that old school kind of keystone correction and having the wheel and the focus wheel on here, in my experience, you'd usually end up having some other blurring around the edges, or one part of the image would be nice and sharp, but another part of the image would kind of lose its focus. So with this, I think that's completely solved, and this looks really good, really nice quality. Now, sound quality on this projector is pretty good too. It's got a 12-watt speaker, and I think it depends a little bit on what device you have hooked up to it, but here's a quick little demo to show you how this is gonna sound and how loud it's gonna be. I will say at nighttime when I've been using this, I use this for a little bit of gaming and stuff after my wife went to bed, played some Final Fantasy VII, things like that with the Switch. And when I was using it there, I had it on about probably volume level 9, and that was where I was almost thinking it was maybe a little bit too loud with my wife sleeping in the room next door. So I'm pretty impressed with the sound quality of this. That did a good job. You know, this is about the max volume here. So I'll be quiet here for a second. You can kind of hear the quality of this and see if there's any, cracking, popping, anything like that. I'm really happy with the sound quality. The one night we played Pirates of the Caribbean in here, and we did have to have the volume kind of up all the way for that. And that was with the Roku. I'll say with my Switch, the volume was a lot louder. That was just interesting because the Switch I pretty much had to keep lower because the volume for the Roku player, I had to bump it up quite a bit. So it might depend a little bit on, what you're feeding into this exactly. And now there is going to be a little bit of fan noise too, but in my experience, it's something that I kind of just drowned out. So I'm not even going to harp on that at all because it's basically as loud as any other budget projector I've tested anytime recently in the past few months. So it's not something that, took away from my experience at all or anything that I dwelled on. I think the sound quality overall was pretty good. You always can hook up Bluetooth 5.2. I'll show you that menu here real quick. There's going to be a little bit of lag probably with the Bluetooth, but you also have the aux line out where you can hook up a speaker that way as well. Okay, so on to some stock footage here. This is all native 4K footage. This is going to be coming off as 1080p. That's what this projector does natively then. Very nice picture on this. This is one that's kind of bright in the leaves and everything too, and nothing's overexposed in this picture here. Good detail. You can see on this up close, like water drops. Yeah, overall, guys, I'm just, again, super happy with this picture quality. And I think this does offer really good value for what it is. You can see this scene here, nice looking blues. Again, the sky, everything looks really good. And this one has some deeper colors. And again, this is just kind of killing it. It looks really good with those colors. This is another one that on some projectors, this kind of gets overexposed a little bit and the brights on the fishes and stuff like that. So this looks pretty nice. And yeah, super nice detail here. Pretty good dynamic range. Yeah, nice, vibrant, kind of green colors on here. And this one, too, is another good one looking at kind of the contrast. Some of these, the flowers get really blown out, these colors here. So pretty good colors overall. Yeah, so this one's actually doing pretty good with the dynamic range and kind of the high poppy contrasty colors that some of the other projectors really don't do that great with. So I'm super happy with this because for this price, I think this does compare to some other more expensive options. You do have your typical zoom function as well. So you can zoom from 50% out up to 100%. So if you need to decrease the size of the screen at all, or maybe your setup doesn't allow you to put this where you need it to be, you can always dial down that picture size down to about 50%. This does have some other controls in there like keystone correction, like manual keystone, 4-point keystone correction. So if you need to do any other fine tuning, you also can do that as well. Here's a quick general look at some of the settings that you can control. So this is what the main interface screen looks like. You can also change this. I'll show you. If we go in here right now, we can go to switch skin. You can go from that grid layout to more of a list layout. And if I select that and we go back, I actually prefer this. I think this looks a little bit more modern. So it's nice you have a couple different setup options with that. But in the settings here, we'll take a quick peek. So in the main projection settings, I have that autofocus on. And then there's like the obstacle avoidance here. I have that set to off. I did put that on, and essentially what that did was I kind of purposely stood in front of this and I blocked like part of the screen when it was setting up. and essentially it just kind of moved the screen over and made it a little bit smaller. Your Wi-Fi settings, you can connect to Wi-Fi. This has Wi-Fi 6, got 5G and 2.4G settings as well. Bluetooth you can hook this up to. Got the Bluetooth items popping up here. It's Bluetooth 5.2. There's a few other settings in here. The boot source option, this is nice if you say always have something plugged into HDMI 1, like that's where your streaming stick is or that's where your PlayStation is. You can set that up to where it always just automatically goes to that source when you boot it up. So that's pretty nice. There's some other kind of power standby options. You can set the screensaver on this as well. Going back out to the main screen here, you can change your input source right here as well. I have a button for that also on the remote. The Bluetooth sound, there's just kind of quick controls here as well, where this will again go into here, and you can pair this up with some Bluetooth devices. You can see there are iOS and Android casting options. So I'll show you kind of the screens that pop up with that. It's pretty much similar to any other way that you'd be casting your devices for whether it's Android or iOS. So I'll show you right here. I just hooked up my projector to the internet. I'm hitting the DBPOWER coming up on my phone, and pretty immediately that just connected to my iPhone. So that's pretty neat. You can see here I'm connected. Go here to my main screen. So it's pretty neat. You have access to everything pretty much right away. That pairing process was very quick. But this is actually very snappy, as you can see here. When I'm scrolling through these pictures, it's doing it with just a little bit of lag. So yeah, for wireless, I'm actually having a very smooth experience with this. For Android, you'll swipe down from the top, hit cast, and you'll find the DBPOWER. And that was very snappy. I was super impressed actually. So you're always gonna have some casting limitations. Like for example, you're not gonna be able to cast Netflix, Hulu, major apps like that for copyright protection reasons. They don't let you do that. So regardless of whether it's iOS or Android, you're not gonna be able to do that. So for any streaming stuff, I would definitely say hook up to this projector, get a Roku stick, get a Fire TV stick, or something like that, and hook up that way. That's gonna give you the best experience. You're also gonna be at whim of kind of like your internet connection. Even if you have, say, like a 300 megabits per second internet, you may only be getting like 150 megabits per second at a certain time of day, or other, higher traffic times they may throttle. So if you're having any issues with that, that's why, and it's not necessarily even the device that you're using. So one thing of note with casting, if you are gonna do that, you need to be hooked up to the same internet that your phone and the projector are at the same time. So the text and everything is really sharp, the picture quality is great. Honestly, even the colors and the contrast and the dynamic range is more than I would expect at this price point. So I'm super happy with this projector. I think that honestly, this may be the new budget king. I think that it offers you a ton of value, and it borrows a lot of other specs and features from some models that are honestly about twice the price of this one. And I think there's a lot of customization you can still do to this, including hooking up a line with a speaker, using a Fire Stick, something like that, to just make this an ultimate streaming device. So if you're looking for a solid budget projector, you really can't go wrong with this one. If you want to pick one of these up, there's going to be an affiliate link in the comments and description. But yeah, I'm super happy with this, guys. Let me know if you have any comments or questions down there below. Please like the video if you found this helpful. Subscribe for other projectors, home theater, TV reviews. I'll see you on the next one.